welcome back to my channel, God, Life and Coaching. My name is Lynn. I am the owner and founder of a coaching consultancy called Evolution Incorporated. I am a brain-based life coach and color therapist, and I just wanted to drop another video for you today. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and hit the bell so that you can be notified of any new video content that we drop in the next couple of weeks. So today I wanted to come in and I wanted to quickly talk to you about the brain. Why do I want to come in and talk to you about the brain? Well, because as I said, I'm a brain-based life coach. The coaching modality that I'm trained in is powered by the Neuro Leadership Group, and we believe that the brain is completely moldable, it is completely shapeable, it is based on the science behind neuroplasticity and the fact that you can actually change your thinking or change the way that you think. What I absolutely love about this coaching modality, the type of coaching that I'm trained in, is that it is based on the Bible verse, Romans 12 verse 2, which says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." If you can renew your mind, you can renew your life. And through renewing your thinking, you can renew your mind and you can renew your life. So today I wanted to come in and just talk a little bit about the brain. Now, over the last couple of weeks, with leading into 2020, leading into a new decade, and coming out of some very traumatic experiences myself, I've needed to just refresh my mind. I've needed to just get back to the theory. I've needed to remind myself about the science behind how the brain works, how the brain functions, how the brain operates. And for that reason, I've been going through some of my notes. I've been going through some of my different coaching techniques. And I've been going through some of the theory around the brain and around how you actually are able to change your thinking. And today I wanted to just come and share a little bit of information about the brain with you, because I thought you might find it interesting with where you find yourself currently. And so what I want to just encourage you to do is subscribe if you haven't done so. Hit the bell if you haven't done so, because over the next couple of weeks I'm going to be sharing information about the brain, little tidbits every couple of days or weeks, so that you can learn, just as I am refreshing myself, about this powerful organ which you have, which literally has the ability to change your life, your brain. So the first bit of information I wanted to share with you is that your brain is a connection machine. And what that basically means is that your brain is in the business of making connections. It is what your brain does. It thrives on making connections. It thrives on filing like things together. It thrives on gathering and assimilating information that matches. Sort of like building puzzles. That's what the brain loves to do. So what will happen is, if a thought pops into your brain, or if someone says something to you, your brain receives the information. It receives whatever it is that that person is saying, whatever it is that you are reading, it receives it. And then what it would like to do is it would like to make connections with its current information that it has. Now, it's a very complex chemical process, and I think I should maybe put a little bit of information about it on my Facebook page so that you guys can also read a little bit about it. But for today's purposes, I'm just going to try and give you a brief explanation about what I'm actually talking about. So the brain will receive the information, a thought, something that someone says, something that it reads, a little bit of information, it will receive it. And then what it will try and do is it will try desperately to make connections to other things which it has filed away in your memory bank. So it will scour your memory bank and it will gather anything that it feels matches to that piece of information. And once it does that, once it actually gathers some other information that matches, it will start to build a new neural pathway around that thought. So if you can think about the thought in terms of as if it were a little seed, right? So you pop a little seed into the ground, you pop a little thought into your brain Your brain will then gather nutrients, it will gather information, it will gather thoughts, it will assimilate anything that it feels matches to that little seed, and it will begin to grow. It will begin to grow a new neural pathway. It will create a map around that little seed. And the reason the brain does that is because the brain is in the business of creating order where there is chaos. So it will receive a whole lot of information and it will try to match that information to bits and pieces that it has gathered before. And the power of a thought is born. The more information you feed that little seed, the more information you gather and assimilate to that little seed, the more that little seed will grow into a new neural pathway. And the more you send energy towards that little seed, the more it will grow. So if you think about a thought as a little plant, the more you water that thought, the more the little plant will grow. The more food you give the little plant, the more the little plant will grow. So if I can use an example, if you, for example, thought to yourself, I am a really talented painter, right? Your brain will try and find any information that matches to that statement. You tell yourself, I am a really talented painter. The brain will go and it will find any information that matches to that thought. It will scour your memory bank, and anything that someone has told you before that matches to that and affirms that little thought, it will feed it, it will absorb it, and that neural pathway will grow. Similarly, if you tell yourself, I am a terrible painter, the brain will scour its memory banks. It will try and find information that matches that statement. It will gather it and it will attempt to grow that neural pathway. And the more energy you put towards that thought, the more energy you put towards that neural pathway, the more it will grow. To a point where when it eventually has enough information, it's grown to a nice solid neural pathway, the brain will also try to automate that thought process and it will bank it. It will try and put it into your memory so that it doesn't have to keep on gathering information towards that. But know that obviously in future, when it receives anything else that matches it, it will go and it will pull back up that information. Your brain is a connection machine. It is what your brain does. And so, because of that little bit of information, I want to encourage you to think positively. I know everyone always says, think positive, do affirmations. This little bit of information just gives you the science behind why it actually is important to feed your brain with good things. There's a Bible verse that speaks about that, and I can't get to it right now, but it basically goes something along the lines of feed it love, feed it truth, feed it. Anyway, I can't remember it right now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to post it in the comments so that you know what it is that I'm talking about. So yes, your brain is a connection machine. It is what it does. It will gather and assimilate. It will match things together. It will grow neural pathways. And so think positive thoughts, affirm yourself, and your brain will find everything that it possibly can to be able to support that thought that you have given yourself. I hope that little bit of information was helpful to you. I hope that it has transformed your mind in some way today. As I said, I'm going to be sharing a lot more information over the next couple of weeks about the brain, different ways of looking at things, different ways of thinking about things, and trying to also correlate it back to the Word of God so that you can see the wisdom that sits in the Word of God and how God knew exactly what He was doing when He was creating us, and how also He's actually given us the instructions on how we work, because sometimes we can't quite figure out how we work. We can't quite figure out how it all comes together. We can't quite figure out how to do things in a different way. The Word of God actually gives us some instruction, and it gives us, hidden in the Word are lots of clues about how God has designed us and how we actually work. I hope that little bit of information was helpful or useful to you. Drop me a comment down below if it was. And as I said, subscribe, follow the channel so that you can be updated for any further content that I post regarding the brain, regarding God, regarding life, regarding coaching. This is Lynn, and I'm signing out for God, Love, and Coaching, and I'll catch you next time.